Welcome to this week's Who the Folk podcast, sponsored by Dog's Day Out, a new do-it-yourself dog wash and full-service bathing and grooming salon in Minneapolis. I'm Lonnie Goldsmith, the editor of TCG Folk. This week I talk with Ruby Comito, a junior high student in Hopkins and entrepreneur who used the time during quarantine to start her business, RuAura. We talk about how she got her business started and if it's a hobby that will outlast COVID on this week's Who the Folk podcast. Ruby Comito, welcome to Who the Folk podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So you are a seventh grader at Hopkins North Junior High who, we're all trying to find a hobby in the midst of, quarantining and locking down and staying at home. And you just up and decided to launch a business.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. So me and my mom started this together. It was more of like we were going to start off, we were thinking about a makeup line, just based off the color of your aura, because that is something that I have synesthesia, and that's why it's called RuAura, Ruby and Aura. But we were originally we were looking at makeup, but then we were like, oh, well, we don't know much about makeup. Right? we don't know anything about that. So why do we do that? And then my mom was on the phone with a friend who happened to be a perfumer, and she was like, well, you should look into perfumes. And my mom was like, well, we don't know anything about that, but I actually did, and I guess that just never crossed my mind. So then I was like, you know what, Mom? Actually, auras do match up with scents, so we could do that. And that's kind of how it came to be. And then we looked into scents. We got essential oils. We made recipes. I just chose the scents that matched up with the aura colors that I saw and made them into these 7 scents to match the 7 colors. So yeah, there's how RuAura started.
That's fascinating. So what, I guess, was it looking for a hobby? Was it looking for something to kill the time? Is that where the idea of this came from?
Yeah, kind of. A little bit of the we should find something to do, and a little bit of the, oh, well, I have something really cool, this thing where I can see people's auras. We should share it with people. We should do something with it. So it's kind of a mixture. So
what got you into reading auras?
Okay, so when I was little, maybe 8-ish or 9-ish, I would tell my mom that different people are different colors. And, she never really understood it. So she, because kids sometimes say weird stuff like that. So she was like, oh, okay. But then this one time I was with my friend, and her arm, part of her arm was glowing purple. And it was really big, and it was kind of scaring me. So okay. I told my mom, and that's when she started being like, oh, well, maybe this is a real thing. Maybe I should look into this more. And then we found something called synesthesia, and my mom asked me oh, is this what you see, Ruby? And it was yeah, it was. And so that's kind of how we figured it out. So yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, that's yeah. It's definitely, you gotta imagine you're one of those people, you either see these things or you don't, because right. I don't think that's a thing I've ever seen before. Is that right? I mean, it's either one of the, you either have it or you don't. Can you teach yourself to see it?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there is a way. That would be so cool. But not that I know of.
I mean, you can teach yourself a lot of things, so who knows?
Right. Yeah.
So the sense you've come up with, you have different collections for the different colors. Mm-hmm. What do people tend to use them for?
The collections?
Yeah, well, the different, obviously, people, they find their colors, right? They can find their aura. You have little tool on the website to help people find it. But once they do, what sort of is it designed as? It's just a perfume, or is it like a?
All right. So
How do people tend to use them?
You can order two things. You can order just a perfume where it's just like a nice little roller ball to put on yourself in the morning, or you can order the DIY kit. So it's like you get the ingredients and you get the tools and you make your scent yourself. So you can do the DIY, which I think is way more fun because you get to make it yourself, which is cool. And you get like a little card with the recipe, and you also get a bonus scent, so you end up getting 2 scents in the end. You get like this card that tells you a little bit about your aura, and then inside the recipe and directions, and then just some facts on the back about RuAura. And it all comes with like a tray, 5 essential oils that you mix into your roller ball that comes with the coconut like carrier base in it. So yeah, you mix that in, and yeah, you like let it marinate for like a day or two, and then bam, got yourself a RuAura scent.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
In terms of the scent development, how did you go through that process?
Okay, so it was mostly just like me like looking, smelling the different essential oils that we got, and like I created a list on like a piece of paper that was like what each color like resonates with, like, you know, like what scent each color like is to me. And we started off with like that and just like mixing the few scents for each color to see how it smelled until we got like a mixture of scents that ended up smelling really good and that I thought smelled exactly like the aura. So like I think Earth, which is the blue aura, was the first one we came up with. I remember thinking like eucalyptus and scotch pine really resonated with a dark blue aura. And so, like, we mixed that with vanilla and white grapefruit, which also resonated with it. And it ended up smelling really good. There was, like, a bunch of, like, fails where it just smelled absolutely horrible. But, you know, we got through those. And we got to the ones that ended up smelling good, which I'm glad.
Well, I mean, like with anything, it's you know, recipe development.
Right.
If you talk to chefs who are trying to build a menu, right? It's you have failures. I mean, that's how you learn these things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so what's your aura? What's your scent?
My aura. I have an orange aura, which is creamsicle. So creamsicle, it pretty much smells like a creamsicle. It's like orange, it's vanilla, it's just like all those scents that just smell exactly like orange cream soda or like that popsicle, the cream.
I love the creamsicle.
Right, so good, right?
So good.
So I really like that scent personally. Orange auras can go from like anywhere from being like a thrill seeker to like wanting to just stay at home in the rain. So
it's a pretty wide range there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that's you. That's
yep, sounds about right.
What's your idea of thrill seeking?
I mean, like, it's like you mostly don't really like, I don't know, sometimes kind of introverted, but then sometimes you're just like, you know what? Let's go do something stupid. Let's go get into trouble. It just like, you know, it changes occasionally, but it's weird because like those are two very different things to say.
Yes, that is a range.
Right, yeah. But they all go in the same place somehow.
It's fascinating. So one of the other interesting things you have on the website is a mask spray.
A mask spray, yes.
So how did that, is it the same sense, but, you know, turned into like a little pump spray? So
kind of similar to that. It's like the same sense, a little bit different. Like they're stronger, definitely. Some like we might have not added as much like rhododendron to the zest. That was an example. So it's pretty much like we have Mask Call, Mask Mint, and Mask Energy. They're different scents, they are, but they all do resonate with the similar aura to the same color that they have.
And is it again, it's just something to spray on the mask to help,
yes,
to make it smell better, so you're not like,
yeah.
It's, I mean, especially if you're in a place where you have to wear, if you're,
like
people who work all day, if you're,
mm-hmm.
long periods of time, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gotta be nice to have something and it can, it can be calming too, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. We have a mask calm, which is exactly that.
That's fantastic. We talk about the uniqueness of a tween starting her own business, but first, a word from our sponsor. This podcast is sponsored by Downtown Dogs Daycare and Boarding, where furry family members play and stay by the hour, day, week, or longer. And Dogs Day Out, featuring 7 socially distanced dog bathtubs and the Zen Den for Shire pups. Located near the Minneapolis Farmers Market and offering curbside fetch and retrieve upon request. All breeds, sizes, and ages are welcome. Visit us at dtdogs.com and dogsdaympls.com. So you're doing this. I gotta imagine that not a lot of your friends are doing something like this. Not just this specific thing, but like entrepreneurship at 12 years old. You don't find a lot of that, I'd imagine.
Right. Well, see, some of my friends, like a lot of my friends are very creative, I would say. Okay. So some of them have started like similar things, like jewelry businesses and stuff like that, which is so cool. I don't know how they do that. I could never, honestly. Not my thing. But so yes, kind of, but at the same time, I think it's insane that like it's come to like all this, like in the middle of quarantine, the 12-year-old with the idea of making a like perfume business because she sees the outline of someone's body as a color. Like that's pretty insane. So like, right.
It's a little insane. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, I will say it's channeling your interests in a fun way, and it gives you something to do when you're not mired in schoolwork.
Yeah, it's been fun, but
that's
journey.
Awesome. So where can people obviously buy it on the website, but where else is it in shops anywhere that people can find it?
Yes. Okay. So we have at the general store in Minnetonka, they're selling mask sprays.
Okay.
You can also we have our own Etsy shop, and we also are selling on Amazon. If you search up RuAura, you should be able to find there. I think that's all. We should be selling soon in other stores, but I don't know if my mom wants to say anything about that, because I don't know if I'm like allowed to say anything yet.
I think we should wait yet. We have Lonnie, we have a lot of interest from a large grocery chain in Texas and a large convenience store chain in New England. But right now we don't really want to talk about that yet. We don't want to.
That's totally fair. And as long as you've jumped on, Ruby, would you like to introduce your mother? I know most people might know the voice, but sorry. Ruby, would you like to?
Well, this is my mom, Jordana Green, who has helped me through a lot in this business.
Oh, you're just doing a great job, Ruby. I don't even want to jump in because I'm so proud of you. And I think you two are having a great conversation.
Well, thank you. We will let you jump back out then. But no, I think it's awesome. So Ruby, talk to me a little bit about sort of the production, the making of it. How do you find, I guess, do you do them all yourself? How do you
Yes.
How do you find the time to do this? And, your first job, I think your mother would agree, is being a student.
Right. Okay. So I've always been told, like make sure your schoolwork's done. So I do. I usually get through that pretty quickly. I mean, oh my God, sometimes I'm up so late doing school, but sometimes I have those days where I just finish pretty quickly and get to run downstairs and make some sense. I actually a few minutes before I called you, I was down there making more sense.
Oh, excellent.
I know, right? Great.
That's awesome.
But it is hard to find time sometimes. But like there's always going to be like a time where you want like a break if you're really stressed or overwhelmed. And it's like you can, some people go for walks, some people like bake. And my thing is just kind of like making sense. So it's kind of like it can be in the middle of my schoolwork. Like maybe I'll just stop and be like, no, and just go downstairs. So the production, it's hard. Sometimes it takes a long time because we have to like refill bottles, but sometimes it's just very stress relieving and easy for me.
I would think so because you do, the scents, people who use essential oils a lot use it for, you breathe it in and, stress relief and calming. Exactly. And this sort of, can bring that for you. Yes, exactly. So like I said, the mask calm, it's like a calming scent to put in your mask to, relieve stress. So if you're ever feeling stressed, just go ahead and buy a mask calm. Right. Well, that's excellent salesmanship. So, one of these days, nobody knows when, but one of these days we're going to go back to normal, or there'll be some sort of new normal, hopefully. Does RuAura keep going? Do you find a way to sort of mix this in with all of your other activities that you want to do as a normal, teenager? I'm planning on keeping it going because even without the mask sense, RuAura was still a business before the mask sense, as in the DIY kits and just the plain scents in general. Well, Ruby, it sounds fascinating. Best of luck to you with everything going forward. But before we let you go back to homework or making sense, or whatever you have on tap today. Yes, sir. 2 last questions before we let you go. What is your favorite Jewish food? Oh, wow, that's hard. Okay. So, I could go basic. I love my mom's challah. It's so good. But I do like hamantashen and latkes. Oh, wow, this is such a hard question. This is the hardest one. This is usually the one that gets people, so it's all right. I like how you've got all of the holidays covered, and I'll let you cover all the holidays. But what is there a hamantashen flavor that's your favorite? I like this isn't really a hamantashen flavor, but the lemon poppy seed. Mwah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh. That's funny because my 2 favorite are we make one with lemon curd, and I also love when I can get poppy seed. But I think if you were to mix the two. Oh my God. Ooh. Wow. Oh, I'm going to have to figure that out for next year. Idea. That sounds fantastic. Maybe I should start another business. I'll let you know how that one goes when I make it. I'll get some over to you. And last question, what is your favorite Jewish holiday? I think Passover. I know it's kind of like a sad holiday, but it just reminds me of getting to see all my family and having fun. We used to go, before COVID, we would go to New Jersey for it, and we'd get to see my cousins and my whole family, which we don't get to do a lot. And my grandma's cooking, and it just good vibes, Mm-hmm. No, for Even sure. Though it's horrible. It is, but the story that you tell is great, and it's even if you tell it every year, you can give it a different twist every year. And the idea of getting together with family, especially in a time where we can't get together with family so often, is it's nice when you can celebrate a time to do that. Exactly. Well, Ruby Comito, thank you so much for joining us. We will have the link to the RuAura website and Etsy store in the show notes and the article. But best of luck with this and as you continue to grow with it. And thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for having me. The Who the Folk podcast is part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network, a product of Jew Folk Inc. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you have suggestions for other podcast guests, please email them to me at editor@tcjewfolk.com. For our other shows, check out tcjewfolk.com/podcast. Thanks again to our sponsor this week, Downtown Dogs, the Twin Cities' largest doggy daycare and boarding facility.